who knows what just happened, really? For me, I'm not too. I don't know. Like I always roll with the punches. Like that's my
Hmm.
whole like lifestyle anyway. So as soon as I got the call, I hung up the call. I called William Regal. I said thanks for everything because he's who brought me in. So shout out to
Yeah.
William Regal. I hung up that call and I immediately was like onward and upward. I was like hitting up all the promoters, going through the Rolodex, so to speak. Hey, 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 like budget cuts. It was before, and like people they were like, oh, I haven't even seen it. And I was like, no one has. I just hung up the phone. They're like, you're calling me? I was like, yeah.
Hello, my friend. This is Frank Mandolini, host of the Last Minute Wrestling Podcast. Today, we are celebrating 70 episodes with an interview with Alex Zayne, one of the hottest free agents at the moment. A free agent, I don't know for how long, because we will discuss his future as well as his past in the Indies, New Japan Strong, NXT, 205 Live, Wrestling Kushida, being compared to Jeff Hardy, and much, much more. If this is your first time here, well, congratulations. Make sure to like this video and spread the word about the Last Minute Wrestling Podcast. This show exists also in audio format, so make sure to check it out wherever you listen your podcast from. And now, without any further ado, let's go to the interview with Alex Zayne. Alex Zayne, guest of episode number 70 of the Last Minute Wrestling Podcast. Welcome aboard, mate. How you doing?
I am great. How are you doing?
Great. And as
Awesome.
always, I start by asking this very question because often I already know the answer. And the question
Okay.
is it the first time that you've been interviewed by an Italian guy?
Maybe. I mean, like a real Italian,
Yeah,
probably.
of course, of course.
Yeah. I got a couple of New York podcasts. There might be an Italian sliding in there somewhere.
Yeah. It's always fun because as I say, Italy is not really a big wrestling place, and it's always great to be the first to have the chance to interview people like you. So yeah, that's
Awesome.
cool. That is cool.
I'm glad to do it. So in Italy, is there much like indie wrestling there?
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
starting. It is starting to
Right.
pop
Right.
up something
Cool.
here and there. There have been like family shows for the past like 20 years or something, but like in the last 5 to 6 years, I would say there are like proper indie style wrestling. There are
Awesome.
starting to pop up. There's a couple of promotions like shout out to my guys at Rising Sun Wrestling and IWA. So.
Okay.
Maybe if one day where you gotta travel across the pond and we'd see each
I
other
was
here.
originally supposed to do like a whole European thing before COVID wiped that out. So yeah, it was supposed to be last summer, I guess. Yeah. So that would have been really cool. But now that I know, maybe I can make my way over to Italy.
Yeah,
Do a little rapping.
you can add a couple of a couple of stops here. It's a great place to be to be on vacation as well.
Oh, I would
So
love to. Yeah, absolutely, of course.
so Alex, first things first. What the hell just happened? I mean, I
um,
mean, sorry if I'm being
who knows?
indelicate.
No, no. I mean,
Like,
by all means, like be indelicate. Which word is that?
yeah.
But yeah, like who knows what just happened, really? For me, I'm not too. I don't know. Like I always roll with the punches. Like that's my
Mm-hmm.
whole like lifestyle anyway. So as soon as I got the call, I hung up the call. I called William Regal. I said thanks for everything because he's who brought me in. So shout out to
Yeah.
William Regal. I hung up that call and I immediately was like onward and upward. I was like hitting up all the promoters, going through the Rolodex, so to speak. Hey, 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 like budget cuts. It was before, and like people they were like, oh, I haven't even seen it. And I was like, no one has. I just hung up the phone. They're like, you're calling me? I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
like let's go. So yeah, I called plenty of people. I know some things aren't out there yet, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of things aren't announced yet.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. It's like anything, and I think people sort of expect it to be different because it is wrestling and it is
Mm-hmm.
WWE, but there's no difference between the corporate model of something WWE-ish or
Yeah.
Target or something, like when it comes time and they got to cut you get cut for whatever reason, right?
Yeah.
Whether it be budget cuts or whether it be whatever multitude of reasons that they actually have, and they tell you it's budget cuts or whatever it is. And I like, who cares? Like at the end of the day, I was already like personally branding and creating myself on the back end. I was already eating, I was already wrestling full time. That was my job, that was my gig. WWE signed me, and it was still my gig, right? And the way WWE's infrastructure works is I'm still an independent anyhow. Like you're hired as an independent contractor anyhow. So really nothing changes, except they're not the ones cutting the check. Like I'm going out and making my own way, really. So
definitely.
It's not.
You had even because let's take a step back. You had like a terrific 2019. You were all over the place, like in GCW that I see you're repping now at the moment, but also in New Japan. We saw you and within at the very beginning of New Japan Strong, right? So.
Right.
I mean, you were literally one of the hottest name, I would say, in the independent scene. And who brought you in? You said Regal was the one that did that.
Yeah,
or
Regal was the one that really reached out and pursued me and really pushed for me to get in there and stuff like that. I'm not sure all the links that he went to and who else might have been involved, because I know there was a lot of people throwing my name around. Thankfully, I'm very grateful for that. And so yeah, he's who gets the credit for it at the end of the day, because he was the one making all the phone calls. But yeah, like even like I was watching New Japan Strong and stuff after getting signed, and I was still watching the product and stuff. And same thing with like the indies, New Japan Strong, and all these cool things happening in wrestling. And of course, like I was in a cool place, and like by no means was I like, oh, I don't want to be here. Like I loved being in WWE. I loved wrestling for WWE. I loved working for 205 Live, like the whole thing. But there was always that piece of me that was like that FOMO, that fear of missing out, right? That was like, oh, that looks so cool. That looks so fun. Like being part of something like, I don't know, a little more revolutionary.
Yeah.
And I think maybe even now WWE might be setting up for something in their own way of something a little more revolutionary. Who knows? Maybe they're doing something like that. Maybe they're setting up into something a little more antiquated. It's hard to call it, right? But either way, that was like something that I wanted to be a part of. I always want to be a part of, and I think I get a little more freedom and chance to be a part of some of those things now. So if we're looking for silver linings, there's plenty of.
Yeah. Today I was watching a few of your matches, on 205 Live, and it's really sad to see how basically the old cruiserweight division has been wiped out. Basically, was there like how was like the atmosphere behind the scenes? Would you or the other guys like talking about it? There was something that you could feel that something was going on with that or not?
Well, early on when I was first there, I mean, I wasn't there very long, so everything that I talk about, I guess, is sort of early on. But early on when I first got there, I know there was a lot of talk about pushing more for the cruiserweight division and putting more stock into it and stuff like that. And for a moment there, it looked like that was the way that they were leaning, due to the people that they were signing, due to they were propping things up, using incredible talents like Santos Escobar, using incredible talents like KUSHIDA, right? And like those are people, in my opinion, and a lot of the wrestling world's opinion, that could be the top of like any company. Like they're ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so I think they were really putting it in a good position. I don't necessarily think against that now. I just think that they have a smaller pool, of course, because they sniped a lot of the whales out of it. So once you pull so many people out of it, it's like, do you have that strong of a division? Maybe they do. Maybe they'll sign some more people. Maybe they'll stop sweating the cruiserweight division altogether, even though they were just talking months ago about doing big things with it. It's always hard to tell, and like, hard subject to change, always. It was funny, like a week before I got my release, I had like cut a promo in front of the writers, and they were like, hey, we need to like talk, we gotta set up a meeting, we want to get this on NXT TV, yada yada yada. So, and then the next week, basically a week and a half later, I got the call. And who knows? Who knows? Like, it, like, cool, like, whatever.
Yeah, and there, as I said, so much talent that you had the chance to tangle with for a little while there, like Tony Nese, Ariel Daivari, and all of a sudden now the indie scene can get much richer because of that, because of you guys been around. I think. I assume you have the 30 days no compete clause, right?
What's that?
The no compete clause. Is
it
30 days or 90?
30 days. 30 days. Right. Yeah. I have 30 days, and I think that's up like September 5th. I think it's the last day, so I guess September 6th is really when it's up, right? I mean, like I said, I called everyone and started getting on as much as I could, just filling dates for the rest of the year. And I've had no problem, fortunately, doing that. So I tweeted about it like last week or something, like you'll be able to see me everywhere in September alone. So, and I think it's a great thing in many ways for like the Tony Neses, the Ariya Daivaris, and those very seasoned vets that have so much experience and have wrestled like so many incredible talents to get out here and like share some of that wealth of knowledge that they have. Because even just being around them for the several weeks that I was around them and working with them, like so much stuff rubs off, and just being in the ring with them, like you just get better like immediately. It's like you get out of the ring, like by the end of the match, you're better than you were when you walked into it. It's crazy. Like wrestling Kushida, like I came out of that match and I was like, whoa, I just feel like like a Pokemon battle, and I just beat this one, and now I've just like grown.
you evolved.
I've evolved.
After that match.
Exactly.
Yeah, and when you first came in, how's the decision process of giving you a new name? Who went for Ari Sterling?
It's sort of hectic, really. The decision, I mean, I think everyone sort of knows, hey, we got to get a new name, like when we go there, right? Like that's the thing now, which is largely because they want to own the rights, I assume, and when you leave, they don't want you to be able to profit off of something. Like they don't want to split the profits because you're out doing something. Which I think business wise, maybe it's smart. It probably is if they're doing it because they're pretty good at the whole business thing. But I also think like if someone still owns that name and they're out, they're basically promoting all this back footage that you have anyway. So people are still going to find it, and you might make more money off the fact that they're still wrestling under that name, but whatever.
And the other way around as well, because you made your name in the indies and you want to profit off of that name.
Right. Exactly. And so the process in my case, I know some people's like they've had different experiences. In my case, they're like, hey, we want to use you on 205 next week. And this came in at like Friday, Saturday or something, the few days before. Like, we're going to use you on 205. We got to come up with a name. I was like, okay, I'll come up with a name. And they're like, all right, send us a list of names and we'll sort of like see what we come up with. So I work up a list of names, maybe 10, 15 names, send it to them. They're like, hey, we need more names. Okay. 20 names, 20 more names. Next thing you know, I'm 60 to 100 names in. They're sending names back. We're picking, now we got the Ari thing situated. Now we're just working on last names. And so Sterling was on like a list of names I had sent. And the reason that was on there is because I'm a fan of the show Entourage. And then Ari Gold is a prominent character on there. And it was like Ari Silver, Ari Sterling Silver, Ari Sterling. So that's how that name specifically got on the list. But there were also a dozen other names, if not 100 other names on that list. So
yeah, that must be tough to even when you have to cut a promo, because I mean you're used
part about it, right? Yeah, that is tough, is like getting it to like roll off the tongue in the same way, and just getting confident behind saying it. But I think the tough part too was my name cleared. We had, I don't even remember the other one. I could look in my phone because they were texting me about it. But I'm at TV on Tuesday. We're still pushing for a name. We don't have a name yet. I'm going to enter in like a few hours. Like I'm going to make my entrance. Well, I don't even know my name yet. And it was about 2 hours. I think we go on around 7:15 or 7:20 for 205 Live.
Yeah.
And it was like 5:30.
Oh.
And that's when they cleared my name. They're like, all right, that's your name. And I was like, great. Okay. Because they they have to run it through all this red tape and legal whatever. And trademark it or whatever that they're going to do. And then, at first they're just making sure, I think, that it can be like cleared. And then they actually go through that whole process, but they clear it. Okay, that's my name. And then like I walk out for my entrance and I'm just like looking at the like graphics and stuff on the big screens, like, oh, there's my name. Like they just whipped these graphics up in like 30 minutes. This is crazy. And slide in the ring. We're circling around. We're about to tie up. And the audience is like, Ari. And I'm in the corner like, oh, that's me.
Okay.
I didn't even realize it until after they had chanted it, because I was like, I wasn't even close to used to it yet. It took me weeks to get used to it. And yeah, it was kind of a weird experience. And I was like, oh yeah, hey, that's me. Right.
I know, as you said before, unfortunately you had a small time there. But do you have any particular fond memories of your time, of something that we may have seen roll out in the ring or behind the scenes?
I think all of the memories there are fond memories. I really don't have any negative memories there at all. I know that we hear a lot of like nightmares about the place. Like I went in kind of like, I don't know, like in this weird sort of like kind of defensive mode when I first worked there, because you hear all these negative things really about
the politicking,
and the environment, right? And then I was there and it's like a super positive environment and everyone's just like grinding and like working hard and like want you to succeed, and everyone's just super like supportive of everything you're doing. So there's so much like positive there. And I mean, unfortunately, like job security is sort of a myth in this day and age too, like not in wrestling, just in life in general. So it's an unfortunate like part of that of life, right? So I mean, until we started getting these waves of like firings and stuff like that, and that would put everyone sort of on edge. And for me, I was just like, if it happens, it happens. I'm just gonna keep like doing what I can while I'm here, and if it happens, it happens. But I also never expected it to happen, because like I think anticipation of negative events kind of like invites them in a way. And also like if you like, actually I really like this quote. I think it's from what is that movie called? The Fantastic Beasts movie. Did you ever see that?
I saw the first one actually. Yeah,
so it's the first one, and he's got his little the little affable nitwit guy with him, right? And he's just like running around with him, and the guy's like, oh, he's freaking out about this big monster that's gotten out, and he's like, oh, don't be scared. He's like, don't be scared. He's like, yeah, if you're scared and then it kills you, you just suffer twice. And I was just like, that's brilliant. Like, why fear it? Because then you're just suffering now when it might not happen, right? So yeah, like that's a long roundabout way of saying, like, I never really feared it happening. And even when it happened, like I probably felt it emotionally for all of 5, maybe 10 seconds of just, and then I was cleared and I got on the phone, and because you got to eat. So yeah,
definitely.
But all the memories there, super fond memories. Super fond memories of all the boys. Like everyone's super cool. The locker room's incredible. I thought it was really cool to get to connect with people like Adam Cole and Roderick, and like all these guys, Pete Dunne, like so many cool guys, Karrion Kross, like so nice and giving and just super supportive, and they just want you to like do cool shit. Because I mean, realistically, we all like want what is best for wrestling. Like there are people in the wrestling industry who don't want what's best for wrestling. They want what's best for them. Yeah. In general, we, like as the boys, like, and that's always a mentality that I look out for, is we want what's best for wrestling. Because at the end of the day, if you're a wrestler, what's best is for wrestling is what is best for you. So that is like, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, right? And so we always wanted what's best. And I just have like really fond memories of just being around them and just their positive energy, and then them giving great advice and just looking out always, and just William Regal always looking out. And yeah, just lots of fun memory. Everything was awesome. I think going out wrestling Kushida will be a really fond memory as well. Like, he was so cool. He wanted to do more.
Yeah.
and I wanted to do more. So I mean, that's just cool too, because you run into so many people, I think, in wrestling that have been around for a long time and stuff, and they don't want to do a lot because, who are you? Like, who am I to make Kushida like bust ass, right? But no, he wanted to go ape shit, and I love that about him. So yeah, shout out to everyone there, man. It's an awesome place, and unfortunately, it's not a fairy tale, right? So
no, well, at least that may be part one of who knows how many.
Exactly.
Who knows how many parts. In your opinion, who's the real unsung hero of that backstage?
Oh man.
Because we always hear about, of course, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, William Regal, as you said, of course.
Yeah. There's a lot of that, but I think the real people who deserve a lot of props that don't get it are the referees. That's the hardest workers. That's the hardest workers in maybe like every wrestling promotion, especially on a major scale, but especially in WWE. They do everything, and they keep you on everything, and they're basically producing, they're getting people, they're doing everything. They're like a good hand in every different position. They're doing everything. So I think all of their NXT referees, like, incredible. Like, I always tried to show my appreciation for them after every match and stuff like that. And I mean, sometimes it's just hard. Like, you got a lot on your mind. But those are the unsung heroes of wrestling in general. The referees, they do not get enough love. That is a tough job. Would not want it.
Yeah. Now, going back to New Japan Strong, how was because it started during the pandemic, of course, with no crowd whatsoever, and that was like a new kind of production, and it was
new grounds for everyone, I think.
Exactly. How was the feeling behind the scenes of what you remember of your time there? If that was like people who were like striving to do their best or stuff like that.
Yeah, that's one. I mean, one thing that I love about New Japan is it's such. I mean, at least for me, and I may be just because maybe it just fits well or something. Was it felt so, I don't know, family like from day one. Yeah. Like, they were just so like, it's just still a great environment. And I mean, of course, it's weird to do the no crowd. Weird environment, and everything hurts worse, and there's no adrenaline, and you're just like in there like, why why does everything hurt? Not that it doesn't hurt already, but then it's just like you feel everything. Like, you'll hit the ropes and be like, oh, come on. Right. But I think that was a really weird time for everyone. I mean, we're still in a really weird time, but in that time specifically, when there was even less information, and you have this company that's still trying and still putting out content, and even that's totally new content for them. Like, they're launching a new brand in that sense. And like, there's a lot to be said for people that are looking out for the boys to get work still during a time when there's no work to get. So super grateful for that. Like, incredible company, and they always took care of me. And I mean, I would go back and wrestle in empty arenas right now for anyone who's willing to go that hard for me, so great environment. It's super cool too, because like, we would record like multiple episodes in a day, and sometimes because of like flight schedules or whatever it was, like, we had to record them out of order. So that was kind of like a little creative like dance we had to do. Like, oh, this match happens after that one, so I gotta do, or before that one and all this. So yeah, it was kind of interesting.
Yeah. And who's the one that brought you in that situation?
Rocky. Rocky has always brought me in, and I think that's sort of off of the recommendation of Will Ospreay. So shout out to Will Ospreay. We came up in a similar backyard circle on the internet called the Backyard Wrestling Link. And there's actually a documentary on YouTube called The Link. And it's about the Backyard Wrestling Link and how there was like this really like underground wrestling society happening. And it wasn't like hitting each other with light tubes and shit. It was like, oh, we wanted to wrestle, and like we were just trying to perfect our craft. And we would meet up for whatever reason and travel like far states apart and like have these what we call it super shows and stuff. So we came up posting on the Backyard Wrestling Link, and we never really had any much run-ins with each other online, but it was like just like anything, there's a sort of camaraderie behind that. So we were like stuck behind each other, like all the backyarders just are like rallying behind each other, like, oh, he's one of us. Like, go get him. So I think that might have been what caused him to like look out for me and drop my name to Rocky. And he wrote me a couple of months before I ever debuted for New Japan, and he was like, hey, like, what's your email? Look out for an email. That's all I can say. And I was like, okay, great, cool. And then so I was like, thank you, and I like that was like really the first time we ever talked, I think, as far as like actually talk. And then after that, like got in touch with Rocky about the show they were doing in LA, because I was just like, hey, like I want to, like, I don't know, buy you coffee, buy you lunch, like sit down with you, whatever, because I'm going to be in LA at the same time that you are doing shows out there. And he's like, okay, cool, like I'll see what we can do. And then a couple days later, he's like, do you want to be on the show? And I was like, who would say no to that? Like, am I a wrestler? Yes, I want to be on the show. What? Yeah, so, and that was the debut. And then, so that was me and Rocky, of course, just had each other's numbers at that point. So
yeah, definitely. How crazy it was for you to go in a span of literal months to go to a New Japan debut, at least a New Japan Strong debut, to go to wrestle Kushida, which I mean, okay, now he is not there anymore, but he still is the junior ace. I mean, of course,
yeah. Which is funny because
I assume you were a fan before, so
naturally, like, right, yeah. Super cool. I was very excited to wrestle Kushida, and the funny thing was I wasn't originally scheduled to wrestle Kushida that day. Oh, yeah. I was supposed to wrestle Guru Raj, who had hurt himself at the previous taping. Injured his hand. He does like a hip toss where he like flattens out, and his hand went under Asher Hale and hurt his hand or wrist or something. And we were doing the back-to-back tapings the day before that, and then it was supposed to be me and him the next day. And I didn't even know he had injured himself because he finished the match, and I was watching the match, and I didn't notice like favoring the hand or anything. But evidently injured himself, so they texted me, hey, change of plans, Guru Raj like injured himself, you're wrestling Kushida today. And I was like, oh, I gotta change my mind, like I was in a different place. So yeah, I had to just kind of regroup and get ready for that, and I was very glad that changed, and not because I don't want to wrestle Guru Raj, of course, but because like that was going to be my last match there. So I got to wrestle the cruiserweight champion Kushida. So awesome, right?
Did you meet him with him even before that?
I'd met him, just in the locker room and stuff, just passing by and stuff. Not a whole lot, which I mean, there's not a whole lot of talking because everyone's in their zone, planning their matches, doing whatever they have to do production wise and stuff. So I hadn't talked to him a whole lot in general in my several weeks that I'd already been there. And then like that day, of course, like you spend the whole day like with each other, right? And that was just really cool because like how many best of Super Juniors did you do? He's like, I don't know, maybe 8, 9. He didn't even know. I was like, you are a legend. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Like, I want to be able to be to the point where I'm like, how many Super Juniors did I do? Who cares, right? That's awesome.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, it seems like such a nice, humble guy.
Oh man, incredible. And like hearing, like being around him, like when you're planning and stuff, and just hearing the way his mind works. Again, like just that process, even if you never even got in the ring, even just that process of going through that with him, and you giving an idea and him tweaking it to make it better because he's incredible. Those sorts of things like just makes you better, right?
Yeah.
So amazing.
Yeah. And I've seen online a lot of people comparing you to Jeff Hardy. Probably among the other things because of the hair, of course, as well.
Hair and just, I think,
and the Daredevil style and this kind of stuff. How do you take this comparison? Is that something that bothers you, or?
No, not at all. That's awesome to me. Like as a kid, like I idolized Jeff Hardy, Rob Van Dam, Hayabusa, Rey Mysterio, you know, Mick Foley, just all sorts of guys. So hearing someone be like, "Oh, you remind me of Jeff Hardy," like, and it would maybe bother me if I were doing things that were, "Oh, I took that from Jeff Hardy."
Yeah.
Because then it would be like, "Oh, don't point out this thing that I'm blatantly doing." But like, I was dyeing the hair before I was like, even like I was out of wrestling when I started dyeing my hair. Like I was on a long hiatus. I was already dyeing my hair, and stuff like that. And it's just something I kept doing. And so like hearing that comparison is pretty sweet. Like 12-year-old Alex is like, hell yeah, dude. Yeah. Like, exactly. Like, yeah, 12-year-old Alex loves that. And in that position, I was like, man, maybe one day I get to wrestle Jeff Hardy. Like, unreal. That'd be amazing, right? No, that's a great comparison. I mean, I think a lot of people just kind of get irked by comparisons because no one wants to be really like everyone wants to be like unique and stuff, right?
Yeah, like so many people have been labeled like the new Shawn Michaels.
Right. Yeah. Everyone's the new Shawn Michaels, right?
Yeah.
Yet no one will ever be the new Shawn Michaels in reality. And so, yeah, I think getting compared to Jeff Hardy is an incredible thing. And especially since I don't do, now I'm thinking, but I don't think I do any of Jeff Hardy's moves.
No, I don't think so.
I don't do a single Jeff Hardy move. I think I do a whisper in the wind from the second rope into a sunset flip. That's as close as I maybe get. But otherwise, like, so that's cool. Like, I mean, granted, we probably just look similar, and in the hair, you know.
Yeah, it's the cool factor, probably. That's the
he's
real,
super cool, and I'm like mildly cool. Yeah.
You mentioned briefly that you took an hiatus from wrestling. What happened?
I think I just got burnt out on it at the time. Wrestling was totally different when I first broke in. I first broke in 2005.
Yeah.
And it was just so different. I was super small. I hadn't put on any muscle, and like everyone hated that. That was just not a thing there.
Yeah.
Which was funny because like no one I came up with in wrestling, even though they weren't just scrawny, also didn't have like a gym membership. Like they looked like shit. Like, so it wasn't like, oh, we're just all body guys and you don't fit the mold, bruh. And it, you know, so it's kind of weird that they were just like, I don't know. I think they just didn't like the super fast style. Well, I know they didn't like that. And there was, of course, like the you do too much sort of idea.
Or they couldn't keep up the pace. Or
yeah. They didn't want to, and they didn't want you going out there and getting all the pop and praise, and then they couldn't get over by doing a headlock, right?
Yeah.
So they were annoyed by that, I think. So then I couldn't break out because the internet wasn't really the same or whatever. So I just like stopped, and I kept like doing backyard stuff because that's where I had fun.
Yeah.
And I kept doing that. And then of course I stopped that just because I was like, what am I doing? And so I stopped, and I was off and on like a few times. And then eventually I was like, wrestling's kind of the only thing I'm good at. So I should probably just do that. So then I full sent it. And first I started kind of like touching my toes in, getting used to it again. And then after that, I was like, okay, it's time to like go for broke. And I just like I quit my day job, so to speak, which I was running a marketing firm, quit that. And then just like booked up every weekend I could, regardless of finances, and just went as hard as I could. 3 months later, went viral on GCW, and the rest was history.
The rest was history. Yeah, absolutely.
Crazy. But
I don't want you to spill the beans on what you're planning for the future, but
yeah, I wish I could.
But what are you planning for the future?
Right. So, there's so many plans for the future, and there's so many options and directions, and so many avenues, right? And I get to choose what I'm gonna do. And I have always looked at life very buffet-like, and I want a little bit of everything. So that's cool.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I won't really know what avenue and path I'm taking until I'm well on it.
Yeah.
Until I'm like deep in it, So it's hard for me to even tell anyone, but I just know there's so many irons in the fire. And we're burning. It's great. I mean, I'm very excited. I'm very excited for the future. I'm very excited to like come back. And in my opinion, I think everyone in 2019 and through like the start of 2020, before COVID wiped us out, like everyone was like, "Oh wow, this guy's everywhere."
Yeah, you were.
Yeah, it wasn't shit compared to what I'm about to do. So I'm about to be everywhere. Yeah, it'll be great. People are gonna be sick of me when people are like, "Oh, I got to see this guy again." Like that's what I'm looking forward to. Get this guy out of here.
You gotta exploit the revolving door as much as you can. Yeah,
exactly.
That's a great idea. I mean, we've seen very recently another successful story of the guys from Everrise 2.0, which are now heavily featured on TV with Sting. So
love it. Yeah.
I mean, nothing's too crazy because
like every time I would find myself in so many positions, especially with the way things took off the way they did in 2019. I would find myself in these positions where I was like, how did I get here? Like 3 months ago, I was like asking for bookings, like, please let me wrestle. Like, I'll do it for nothing. I'll pay you. And like, then next thing you know, like I'm wrestling in New Japan, and then I did a show where I tagged with Rock and Roll Express and stuff. Like, and I was like, what? This is so cool, right? So yeah, you never know where it might end up. I just know that I'm about to grind harder than I ever did, and I'm in a way better position than I ever was. So you saw what I was able to make out of nothing.
Yeah.
Right. So we'll see what I can do with this. I'm excited about it.
Is there again, without I don't want to force you to spoil things, but is there like any dream match scenario that you or if not directly a dream match, even like a dream venue that you want to wrestle in or something like that?
Oh man, there's a lot, really. Hammerstein Ballroom would be amazing to wrestle at. ECW Arena, right? There's definitely more. I always wanted to wrestle at Madison Square Garden too, and I thought that would have like might have been on like the options list, because I know New Japan was planning a show there when I was still involved with them and stuff, and that would be super cool because like that's just the amount of stuff that's happened there and everything, much less wrestling alone. So that's ton of venues that I would love to do. A ton of places I'd love to see. I had an Australian tour that I was supposed to do. I was supposed to be in Japan again. I was supposed to be in like all of Europe. I was trying to like touch ground in all of Europe at the time. And I was booking the shit out of that. And I would love to do all of those things, right? So I've already had these conversations like 30 minutes after I got the call. So I've already started these conversations. So
that's great.
Yeah. So if none of those things happen, it won't be because I didn't try. But yeah, I'm trying to make all those things happen. Of course, the world's got to heal up and get better. And I think that's slowly happening, and we don't know what tomorrow holds as far as any of that goes. Like, we're still in the guessing game phase of this, I think. But
yeah, I think so.
We're getting there. How's Italy doing?
We're getting closer. Italy is doing quite well, I guess.
Good.
Quite well. We had like recently we had a little bit of a spike in the contagion, but with the vaccine, everything is under control, let's say. So right. So yeah, we're doing pretty good.
Yeah, it's great. I think we're slowly reaching that tipping point too. We have such a population too, and such a divided population a lot of times that we just gotta reach that curve. Yeah, everything will be downhill from there. But that's good to hear there. It's still hard to know when and if travel will be a thing, but when and if it will be a thing, I will be when and if I will be there.
Yeah. So talking about possible European plans for you, is there like any place that you want to wrestle, or any wrestler from Europe that you want to wrestle?
Oh man, I would like to wrestle Joe Lando, because he's like a young up and comer. He's killing it.
Yeah.
I'm terrible with names, and there's just a name that I saw like a couple days ago that was killing it, and they're another flippy guy, and I was like, that'd be cool. So I'll have to look them up, but I'll tweet them since I can't shout them out now, and I just don't want to butcher their name or say someone else and be like, Steve. There's a guy named Steve, yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of talent over there. Like, Europe they have no shortage of talent, that's for sure. So really looking forward to coming over there, and just like, I think because of me coming there and it being such a, like, obviously a smaller pool in a population sense in general, and just like the size of Europe, and like the tour would just be crazy match after crazy match after crazy match after for like a month long, and then I would go home and try to like heal my body. Yeah. Like in America, you get some of the smaller bookings where you don't have to go as apeshit sometimes, and that's kind of like your break day, right? You have like like I'm sneaking kind of a day off, like you know, and which was funny because I remember in WWE, like they're like, oh, you know, like smaller match, like tone it back or whatever. So I would, I'm gonna do the Asai, like the moon sauce, right? Inside
from the second rope.
Right. I'm gonna do that, and I'll do the Dragon Rana and stuff like that. And they're like, no, like dial it back. And I'm like, that's me dialed back. What do you want? That's as dialed back as I get. I'm sorry. So yeah. So that's funny, because then people hear that and they're like, what's he gonna do? He's gonna get in there and just do a arm hold. I don't know arm holds, man. No, I'm gonna do a flip still. It's just one that I can definitely not land on my head and break my neck.
Alex, thank you so much for your time. Just before you go, I want you to plug all of your channels. Where can people find you? So
awesome. Go. I am everywhere. Right now, everything is under Ari Sterling WWE. That is being changed on the back end of these websites through a WWE channel of some sort, but I don't know how that stuff works. But they're making it happen. And when that changes, I will be at Alex Zayne everywhere. Just Google Alex Zayne or Ari Sterling. I'm pretty easy to find under both of those names. Instagram, Twitter. I'm starting to Twitch this week.
Whoa, okay.
I've never twitched before.
Okay, me neither.
Than like, but yeah, I'm getting on Twitch, and I'll be poorly playing video games while I talk trash. And
that sounds delightful.
Yeah, and tell you stuff about tacos, and tell you stuff about where I'm going to be wrestling next. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to be doing soon, and maybe tonight. I don't know.
Okay, well then, thank you so much. Can't wait to see you. Can't wait to see you basically everywhere. If I understood correctly.
Yes, you did everywhere. I'm going to be everywhere. Every channel that you can stream like independent wrestling on, like all the networks and all that stuff. So yeah.
That's amazing. Well,
and hopefully Italy soon. Yeah,
hopefully Italy. I'll be waiting with open arms. Just give me a call. Just give me a call. And
are there tacos in Italy?
Nope.
There's no tacos. I will come. I will make tacos. I'll do it myself.
I think there's just a little bit like some Mexican restaurants and stuff like that, but not that big.
I'll sniff them out.
It's not that big.
Right. Okay. You poor Italians. You don't know what you're missing.
Yeah, we gotta stick with our terrible food. So
no, I love Italian food. It's like a favorite of mine for sure. Yeah, I do love it. That's one of my main things about going to Italy is just like I want to just go eat my way through Europe in general.
Yeah,
the food, right? But yeah,
that's what everybody does. So,
right, I want to gain so much weight there.
That's the proper way to do it. A lot of carbs every day.
Hell yeah.
Alex, awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my friend.
Take care. Ciao.
All right, you take care. Later.